Checking the combat readiness of troops in Belarus is planned and does not threaten an offensive on the territory of Ukraine, military experts say. Moreover, some analysts believe that such surprise checks are also carried out in order to keep as many Ukrainian troops as possible on the border with Belarus and prevent the strengthening of Ukrainian units in other sectors of the front line.
I think that the second goal, in addition to checking combat readiness, is to annoy our neighbors, to prevent Ukraine from withdrawing military units from the Belarusian-Ukrainian border and transfer them to the contact line in Donbass, where the Russian army is experiencing difficulties with its numbers.
The concern was also caused by the new tactical signs of the Belarusian military equipment in the form of a red square, which are usually applied before participating in hostilities to visually distinguish friend or foe. But military observers say this is normal practice during exercises. In addition, Belarus has no military potential and no motivation to fight the Ukrainians.
There is little motivation. Colleagues said that when wounded Russians from the Kyiv region were taken to a hospital in Belarus, they went into hysterics there. The Belarusians saw the Russian wounded, they saw the fury of the war. Vitaly Koval, head of the Rivne Regional Military Administration, in an interview with Ukrainska Pravda.
The monitoring group Belarusian Gayun also reported that Russian equipment was massively transferred to the area of the Brest training ground, 40 kilometers from the Ukrainian border. Military experts assure that nobody should be afraid of the invasion of the Russian army into Ukraine.
Yes, now they say that the Russians will go to Kyiv from the territory of Belarus, but they do not have the capacity. They do not have at least 100,000 soldiers that could go on the attack. What happened in Ukraine in February near Kyiv was most likely a diversion of Ukrainian troops, since the Russians were primarily interested in the land corridor to Crimea, and now they are just once again spreading information that there will be another march on Kyiv. But they have not enough forces. The number of mobilized Russians on the territory of Belarus is estimated at 30–32,000, and this is not the force with which one can go on the offensive. Sergei Bulba, Belarusian public figure and founder of the White Legion, in an air of _TV. As it turned out, in the Russian Federation there are not enough training grounds for tank units. They need a place where to train. I think that the Soviet-era training grounds in Belarus have been preserved with all the equipment, and they are used by Russian troops to train these mobilized men, so that they can be transferred to Donbass and to the south.
In addition to the fact that Belarus has become a springboard for the Russian army, Russia also continues to use its territory for launching missile attacks on Ukraine.
They totally control the power vertical of Belarus, including local special operations forces. In addition, they constantly put political pressure on Lukashenko, providing to him that if Russia loses, then he will sit in the bench trial along with representatives of the Russian political elite. Mikhailo Podolyak, advisor to the head of the office of the President of Ukraine, in an interview with RBK Ukraine.
Mikhailo Podolyak noted that the Russians are gradually transferring mobilized men to Belarus. According to him, there are already 12 to 15,000 of them. And the day before, a long-range radar detection and control aircraft of the Russian Air Force, which is designed to identify targets and transmit coordinates for strikes to fighter pilots, flew to Belarus. But at the same time, the Ukrainian authorities emphasize that intelligence is actively monitoring everything that happens on the territory of Belarus and is ready for any scenario. Reported by Roman Smoler, Vlada Tsurkan, UATV News.